Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at some of the new versions and models dropping today in Kaiser's new product release for the month of August 2024, and we got some really good ones. These two here are very nice, but the one coming up that I'm going to give you the full review of is a new model that I truly think is one of the best Kaisers this year so far. But first, let's take a look at these two. We have a new version here of the Kaiser Cormorant, which I've got to be honest, the Cormorant is so good. To me, there's no version that's bad. But at the same time, you know, pink's not quite my thing. Obviously, pink is definitely for some people, and I believe there's one or two other versions, new versions dropping on the site today. I may be wrong, but I could have swore there was at least one more. This was just the one that Kaiser sent me. We have some pink G10 with some really nice milling, some design, kind of like a Tetris style theme there with little black accents and mostly a pink handle, pink G10. So that's kind of cool. Nitro V blade. And it's the same Cormorant, guys. Incredible action, especially for a button lock. Really good feel of that detent, even though there's not a detent ball in there. Just the design of the Cormorant is very, very smooth, very good in the hands, and just extremely fidgety. And I do think it's one of the odder looking Kaisers. Like if you compare it to all the other Kaisers out there, I would definitely consider this kind of an oddball design, but it works. It just really works. And there's a reason this is like the 10th different version of this, I think. There's been a ton of different variants of the Cormorant, and it's because it's a great seller and it's a great knife. So this one is going to be dropping tonight, along with, like I said before, I think maybe one or two other versions, I believe. But the Cormorant, and then we got this guy here. Now, I'm going to call this a new version because what I'm going to do, I think there's always been some, it's been like a gray line of what a new model is versus a new version. I'm going to consider this a version because this here is another version of the Kaiser Assassin. Now, if you guys remember this, the previous versions of this, they've both been flipper button locks. There's been a slightly smaller version and then the XL version. This is really kind of like, I hate to say it because I've been saying it a lot, but this is kind of like the bug out competitor version. It really is, because it's like the exact same size as the bug out. The blade is right around 3.1, 3.2 inches. Let me see here. What can I get that would be, here's a good comparison. The pyrite, the Bowie pyrite, and you guys know the Bowie pyrite is pretty much the same length as all the other pyrites. And as you can see, pretty much the exact same length. Do I have any other versions that are, I thought I had my bug out sitting around here, but I do not have my bug out sitting around here. But I have this right here. I have the Vosteed Raccoon. That's also a pretty good size comparison. A little longer with that extra length on the handle, but a relatively similar blade length and not necessarily shape, but length. Little longer blade length on the Raccoon. But still, I think that gives you kind of an idea of the size of this. It's bigger than the original version of the Assassin, but nowhere close to the XL version. But yeah, it's definitely a direct competition for the Benchmade Bug Out and the Hogue Deca, and the new the new Artisan Cutlery or CGRB model that dropped this year. But regardless, all that aside, it's a great knife. Kaiser does a phenomenal job with the crossbar lock. Very, very smooth, very enjoyable. Now, I know for a fact there's three versions of this. There's this version here, which is kind of like a silver carbon fiber laminated G10. So not carbon fiber all the way through, just laminated on the top, but it does look really cool. Really, really like kind of how it fades off there. The silver is just nice. It pops. Really, really good. The other two versions, one is I believe it's a blue denim micarta, and then the other one, what is the other one? The other one has escaped me, but there is three total versions of this to choose from. Really, really good. Really enjoy this, and definitely one that I think a lot of people are going to like, especially if you're a fan of that bug out and Deca size. This may be like, I don't know, 0.4, 0.3 ounces heavier than a Deca or a bug out, but weight is not really a factor when it comes to this. The blade looks great. The action's phenomenal. And yeah, it's a great little knife. I think this one's coming in around 69 bucks. So yeah, be sure to check these out there. Of course, I'll link below for the new releases for today. But now we're going to talk about the main character of this video, and it's this guy right here. This is the Kaiser Bulldog, and this thing is, I'm in love with it. This thing is fantastic. Before I get to gushing about it, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length coming in at 7.22 inches, a blade length of 3 inches, and a blade thickness at 110 thousandths. Blade material, 154 cm, as you can see right there. We have a sheep's foot blade, which I guess it's a sheep's foot blade. Some people might argue it's like a modified reverse tanto. I don't know. I think it's a sheep's foot. It's got a little more of a point than most sheep's foot. We'll call it a modified sheep's foot. How's that sound? A flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.22 inches. Handle thickness at a nice and robust and thick 513 thousandths. We'll talk a little more about this handle and the design of it when we get into the handle and ergos portion of the review, because I'm really, really impressed with this handle. Material is micarta on this version, and then there's also a black aluminum version. But keep in mind that black aluminum version comes with pink thumb studs and pink pivot screw, I believe. So a little bit of pink on that one. We have a user of a left or right hand tip up carry, and of course with the crossbar lock. It is completely ambidextrous. As a matter of fact, it is more than just a crossbar lock. It is the adjustable lock. I don't know, the clutch lock. This is the Kaiser clutch lock in here. So yes, completely ambidextrous and completely adjustable for the tension of the spring, which is very nice. Weight coming in at 3.43 ounces. Designed by Osho, who is a new designer to the Kaiser lineup, and I would say Osho is off to a fantastic start with this Bulldog. Price is also phenomenal, $69. $69 for this guy. The aluminum version will be coming in at $79. And yeah, just really, really, really nice. Let's take a look at some size comparisons here. And there's one glaring thing about this knife that really reminds me of another knife that I absolutely love. And I think that does factor into this, but they're also two very different knives. First, let's take a look at some other knives just to get the size comparisons going here. Let's bring out the Kaiser Brat, which of course, that is names. The Brat is obviously much bigger. You look at something like the Kaiser Gemini here. It's a little closer, actually very close in terms of overall length to the Gemini. The Gemini is a great size comparison. I thought that was still going to be a little bigger. What else do we have over here that would be worthy of throwing out on the table? This guy right here. This is one of the very few other Kaisers that have come out this year in terms of new models that I've really enjoyed. This is the Kaiser Gavel. And that is also somewhat of a close size comparison, a little shorter. But I always like to have a little shorter of a knife, bigger or same size, to kind of put it all in comparison. And these two knives right here, I have something to say about Kaiser this year. And it's not necessarily negative. It may be a little criticism, but I wouldn't call it negative. Kaiser has been really good at something this year. They've been really good at bringing out new versions of older knives. Things like the Cormorant, things like the Gemini, things like the Brat that I just showed you. They have so many good designs already in the books. They've done a great job of bringing out new versions, especially this one. I love this version of the Brat with this milling here. But they've done a really good job of bringing out new versions of amazing knife designs. What I don't think they've been as good at in this year as they have in previous years is bringing out new knife models. And that's what these two are. And to me, personally, these kind of highlight it for me for Kaiser so far this year. And we're well over halfway through the year now. While I do think Kaiser still had a very strong year because they brought out awesome versions of some amazing knives, they just haven't come out with a lot of new designs, a lot of new models that have really intrigued me outside of the Gavel and this Bulldog here, which I'm over the moon for. But yeah, it's been an interesting year for Kaiser. But this Bulldog is definitely putting them back on the map for great new knife models for this year. And one more size comparison, because I personally get a lot of comparisons between this knife and this guy right here. This is the Kunwu Padre. Now, if you guys watch my channel, this was my knife of the year for last year. It's a $350 knife. or a $300 knife that feels like a $600 knife. It is amazing. You got a nice big slicey blade in Vanex milled titanium that is just phenomenal. But yeah, let's take a look at these two together, because I definitely get some similar vibes. I'm not saying any inspiration was taken from this or whatnot. And I'll say this for the record too. If there was a little inspiration drawn from the Padre into this design, I have no issue with that, because it's very clear these are two extremely different knives. They're different in size, different blade shapes, different everything. The handle, you see some more similarities than anything, but the handle is why I love it. I love the blade shape too, but there are just some very slight nuances from the Padre that I see in the Bulldog, and I love it. I have no issue with it, because like I said before, as you're looking at these two knives, they're extremely different, especially in terms of price. This is a $300 knife. Like I said, feels like a $600 knife. This is a $69 knife that, to be honest, it just feels like a really good $69 knife. You know, it is what it is, but it's great. The ergos are fantastic, and this blade is just really good for EDC. Really nice tip, 16 thousandths behind the edge, nice and thin. Lots of very nice jimping up here, which you don't see enough on all knives. I think every knife could use a little more jimping, to be totally honest. And you have that on here. You have really nice jimping in the standard grip. If you need to choke up and kind of push down, you have that jimping there. Or if you wanted to do kind of like a pinch grip towards the base of the blade and get your finger up there for some detailed work, you have that as well. So very nice, versatile jimping, great looking thumb studs that are placed just about perfect. No issue at all with the thumb studs. And it's just a really nice knife overall from a blade aspect. Now, when you get into the handle and ergos of it, in my opinion, it gets even better, because the ergos are one of the things that really make this knife. They really do. It's a lot like those Padre, the curves in the Padre handle. The one thing that I like about this more than the Padre, and it's literally the only thing that I like on this more than the Padre, but when I hold the Padre in my hand, I have a lot of the handle sticking out at the bottom. That's the one thing I don't necessarily love about the Padre. If the handle was a little shorter, that would be awesome, but it can't be, because there's a big blade. So there has to be a balance there. You have to, a little give and take, and that's what you have with the Padre. But with the Bulldog, I just don't have that. It's just perfect. There's just a very little bit of the handle coming out at the bottom, which one makes it a really good 4-finger grip. Nice, strong, and solid handle. I love that. I really love that. And this handle itself, as I alluded to earlier, the 513 thousandths thick handle, that is some robust, beefy micarta scales there, and I really like that as well. They made this thicker than most of their production knives, or their budget-based knives in the $69 category. I love it, because you still have those steel liners in there to help with the strength, but you have nice, thick micarta that's going to patina great, that's going to wear great. You're going to have an awesome grip, and it's just done completely right. There's nothing wrong done with this knife, in my opinion. I would consider this a perfectly executed 10 out of 10 knife, from just an overall thought and conception into a finished product. I think Osho and Kaiser knocked this one out of the park. I can talk about the action. There's really not much to say. It's great. It's clutch lock action. If you like the action on the drop bear, if you like the action on the sheepdog with the clutch lock, any Kaiser model that has the clutch lock, I feel is very similar. There may be a little differences here and there, but this one is just as good as the rest. Very nice, very satisfying, very fidgety, and very good. So that's what we have here, guys, in my opinion. And I have to say, I probably do like this more than the Gavel. So I would probably put this ahead of the Gavel in terms of best Kaiser models of the year. And it's just, it checks all the boxes for me. It's got phenomenal ergos. It's got a really good looking functional blade, a decent size blade. It's not huge. It's not really even big, but it's that good user size for a day-to-day knife if you're not doing anything too crazy with it. And it's just a winner. The Kaiser Bulldog is fantastic, and it is dropping right now. This video uploaded when the knife became available. So get it, got it, good. Links below. Let me know what you guys think. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.